Hi friends, it's Tasha Rose with Radical Mothering. I'm filming in my bedroom because it's the only reasonably quiet place right now, and I don't know what this is on the wall. I'm sitting behind my bedroom door is right there, and this is, you can see the thing that the doorknob hits so it doesn't break the wall, but I don't know what that is. It might be marker. I'll just take a magic scrubby to it. Okay, so I am excited about this video. It's that time of year where parents start the exploration for the next school year, whether or not, if they don't have kids in school yet, whether or not they're going to go with public school, parochial school, or homeschool. And as a homeschooling mother, I was asked by the Catholic Marathon Mom to offer my insight in this collaboration as to choosing homeschool. So I'm going to answer these questions. There are 5 questions, hence the title of the video. So I'll go ahead and introduce my children. I have 7 children, and let's see, I started homeschooling really at the jump. And Grace and Zoe were homeschooled up until Grace was in 3rd grade. And then we had a major life shift and we had to actually go into public school for a little while. Grace really thrived there. She's actually going to be graduating from her high school this year, full IB, well above a 4.0 GPA. And she does really great. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited that public school worked really well for her. And I'm confident that had she stayed homeschooled, she would have done just as amazing. Zoe was also in public school, and then you guys just saw our recent video. We just pulled her. She's in the middle of her 8th grade year, and for big reasons, we pulled her. And I'll probably talk about those a little bit down the line with some of these other questions. So all told, I would say that we've been homeschooling for almost 18 years. Because even though two of my children were in public school for a short time, I still always made sure that we were doing education at home too. That never was anything that I just left to the public schools. So I'd say 18 years. Formally, it was 4 years plus now we're, I guess, another 4 years. So formally 8 years homeschooling. Our defining moment of when, I would say, was upon the return to homeschool. My son Degory is an identified gifted and talented. He was testing at like the 97th percentile for his age group nationwide. Just really, really skilled boy. And he wasn't getting his needs met as a gifted and talented kid. And I was being railroaded at every step, but they're like, I'm that mom who would never make my kids do their homework in elementary school because I think it's ridiculous. And there are well over 100 studies that show that it doesn't do anything for an elementary kid to be doing homework. In fact, it takes away from their love of learning. Not to mention family time, and everything that should be considered with that. But, the defining moment was really just this constant being railroaded. My son was doing algebra in 2nd grade, and they wanted him to be doing this really basic mathematics, and he wasn't doing their homework that they assigned. So they were like, oh, well, we can't advance him because we don't know. And I was like, I'm telling you. And I'd send them video. I sent the principal of the school video of Degory doing algebra on his own, like no prompts or anything, algebraic stuff on the refrigerator with a dry erase marker. And she just wasn't having it. And she was trying to railroad me, thinking I was just going to bend over and let her do whatever she wanted with my son. And just, I would move out of the way. But I'm not that mom. And I'm sure that a lot of you have gathered that, especially if you follow my social media. So that was kind of the defining moment of, okay, well, we have got to get out of the schools. And the light in my room is funny, so I'm sorry. It's really weird tonight. And we have a lot of other Then locally here in Minnesota, a lot of things started shifting politically. And there's a lot of political stuff going on in the schools that I just don't want my children exposed to. So that's kind of another driving motivator. So we can give our children what we know that they need for their education, and they're not going to have any of these political influences that don't belong in public school, that don't belong in school, period. And we can also make sure that they're getting their religious education, etc., here at home every single day. So basically, the rest of our children will never step foot into a public school classroom. Let's see. Question 3 is about curriculum. Do you create your own curriculum? Is it faith-based or secular? I generally do. I kind of hodgepodge things together, pull from curriculum that I really like for this thing and this thing and this thing. And a lot of you know that I used to be pretty exclusively Waldorf. And even then I crafted my curriculum. I pulled it all together and how can I Waldorf this thing? Now, when it comes to the early years of teaching kids how to read and teaching kids early math, I do still use a lot of Waldorf principles for that because they make sense for the way kids learn developmentally. And they just happen to correlate really well with Montessori and Charlotte Mason, which is more where we're aligned these days. And I do craft my own curriculum. I have faith-based and I have secular curriculum. For faith-based curriculum, I actually really, really love Rod and Staff for ELA, that's English and Language Arts, and reading. I like both of those curricula that they've got, basically at all levels so far. I really enjoy them. And then, let's see, for older math, we use Saxon, and we're just exploring with Zoe using teaching textbooks for geometry. So I think that with the little bit harder maths, we're going to go with teaching textbooks. It seems to be really working well so far. She's like 4 or 5 lessons in now. And it works really well. So I think that for those higher grades for math, we'll probably stick with that for her and for the rest of the children, as long as that's around. And then I pick up, religious ed stuff here and there. And we've got some Seton stuff, and we've got, like I said, Rod and Staff, and I've got some Sunlight stuff, but that was just, I'm getting rid of that. I've got a lot of stuff I have to get rid of too. And then I do construct my own stuff too. I create a lot of my own things. We did just start using The Good and the Beautiful, and then I picked up, you saw the unboxing video the other day of Salt and Light. So we've got that as well. So it's really just pulling from all of the places that I know I can put together really good lessons for my children at all levels and keep them engaged and make sure that they're learning. So that's how I do curriculum. The next question is greatest challenge and how are you facing it or have overcome it? Actually, my greatest challenge springs out of the public school. So the public schools here, just like most places these days, are really reliant heavily on screen time. And we've really noticed how that has impacted not only our public school children, but our homeschool children who didn't have screens for school. They were starting to want to be on the public school screens all the time. And it was really frustrating. So now, as we've pulled Zoe out and we've returned her iPad to school, it's really a battle of removing that influence and kind of detoxing everybody from wanting to be on a screen. Now the children get to earn, so I pay for ABC Mouse and I pay for Adventure Academy, and they get to earn that instead of, oh, we're just going to shove it in front of your face, and let you just have at it. They get to earn that, and the bonus is it's educational too. And I really stand by using those 2 apps. I think that they're really great tools for kids. And it's a fun game. You could time it. And especially with the devices that we've got locks that, we set a time limit and it turns off all by itself. So that's really the biggest challenge, is just detoxing everybody of having that extra media in our house that we don't need. And, you know, I've really noticed since the rollout of the iPads when Grace was back in middle school, there seems to be a lot more anxiety built around what's my grade today, you know, and it was really frustrating. And it has been a consistent frustration for me in watching Grace and Zoe just obsess over watching those grades come in and watching the percentage go up or down or way up or way down or whatever. You know, it's been a really huge source of stress for them. And I don't like it. It's really obnoxious. And then there's lots of studies that show that you don't remember as much when you're on the screen as much. So getting rid of it, that's the biggest challenge right now. And we're taking it head on, and it's hard to not go, okay, well, I can't manage you right now because I have to manage this child with this activity. So here's a screen. You know, it's really hard not to do that, but we have to. And it's crazy how quickly that kind of thing just grabs a hold too, because being Waldorf for so long, it wasn't, and we don't have a TV in our house, you know, so it didn't take much for the screen to just go, because it's a drug. It's crazy. So there's that. And then the last question is, what advice would you give someone considering homeschool for the first time? My first piece of advice is don't add a screen, first and foremost. My second piece of advice is don't try to start your kids too early. So many people want to follow the public school model of starting their kids when they're 4 and 5 years old. And kids just aren't really ready for it necessarily. They're ready to learn their ABCs. They're ready to learn their colors and their shapes and their numbers and stuff. But to sit a kid down and formally make them write their things and make them do this and sit down. And we don't want to recreate school at home. And you don't want to start kids too soon because that can really lead to frustration for them. And I'll give you a little story that speaks to that. When Grace was 4 years old, I was like, my kid's going to be a genius. I'm going to get her to read right now. She's 4 and she's going to read. She knew her ABCs. She knew a couple of sight words. She knew her numbers. She knew her colors. She knew her shapes, etc. She knew all of that. So I was like, okay, we're going to read and we're going to do phonics. And I know how to do phonics really well. And this is what we're going to do. And it just led to a lot of tears for her and a lot of yelling for me. And it wasn't worth it. And then I stepped back and I was like, okay. And that's when I started leaning on Waldorf. And I was like, okay, her brain's not ready for it yet. She's just not there. But then when she was going in just before she went into 3rd grade, right before we moved down to the Twin Cities and she went into public school, she picked up chapter books and just started reading them like that. Like hands off. I was hands off. We did, you know, real world things like drawing letters in the sand and, you know, noticing letters out in the world, etc. And it just grabbed her and she started putting the letters together and we started slowly talking about phonics. And we would, when we would do our alphabet together, it would be A, apple, B, bat. And we would just, that's how we would do our alphabet. And it took those years, but she started reading in the normal range of when kids should really be reading. And that's even up till 3rd grade. So don't stress out about my kid's not hitting these public school milestones. Pay attention to what your kid does know and keep a growth mindset because they're going to get it and they're going to get it on their time. And if you pressure them, it's just going to make learning a frustration for them instead of something that they really love to do and something that they want to be a part of in the everyday that you're together. So that's my advice. Take it for what you will. I think that's it. That's all the questions in the list. If you take a look in the box below, the description box, I'll have the collaboration linked, and then this will also be part of the playlist to this video. Make sure you watch all the rest of the videos, and if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe. give us a thumbs up. And I'm just going to shout out again, I am so grateful to everybody who has subscribed and who got me over that 1,000 threshold. I'm just waiting for the community features to open up. I read that it takes about a week to 2 weeks for community features to open up. So I'm really excited about that. I do have the giveaway, and I'm going to announce the giveaway winner tonight. I'll probably do a really short video about that. I'm sorry, tonight as in the night I'm filming this, Saturday night. This video is dropping Monday morning. So look for that, and hopefully maybe sometime in the near future I'll have another giveaway for another milestone hit. But like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.